Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Flying Dutchman, but I'm sure you've never heard of the Flying Boogeyman. I haven't either, but that's the best way I can think of to describe what we're talking about today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the AH-64 Apache attack helicopter. You know, full disclosure, I think this might be the only thing that's able to hide in Chuck Norris's closet. Because when we built this thing, we didn't just take a page out of Sun Tzu's book and say deprive the enemy of nice things, we went a step further and said deprive the enemy of a good night's sleep. Because when you're an enemy combatant and you see this thing coming, you no longer have the option to pack your bags and go home. The next thing you're going to see is a flash before you become a pile of sand and wake up at the pearly gates. This thing is the end-all be-all for the battlefield and ground engagements. You got a bad guy in a tank? The Apache has a solution for that. You got a bad guy in an airplane? The Apache has a solution for that. You got a bad guy in another helicopter? The Apache has a solution for that. You got a bad guy that's not in any vehicles, just walking around on the ground? The Apache has a solution for that too. So just to clarify, the Apache can carry the AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, ATAS anti-air missiles, a 30mm chain gun that it has right there on the bottom, which, by the way, is hooked up to the pilot's helmet. Yeah, it's got an HMS system, so the pilot looks and you're gone. Not only that, but depending on the mission, depending on the loadout, it can also carry the Zuni rockets, Mighty Mouse rockets, Sirik air-to-ground missiles. This thing can do anything, go anywhere, do whatever it wants, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you don't believe how badass this thing was, don't worry, because I came with receipts. January 17th, 1991, 8 Apaches were guided in by 4 MH-53 Pavlos and took out part of Iraq's radar network and allowed the attack aircraft to come in completely undetected. Now, each one of those Apaches had an asymmetrical loadout of Hydra 70 rockets, AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, and an auxiliary fuel tank. Now, during the subsequent 100-hour ground war, 277 Apaches took part and took out 278 tanks, numerous armored personnel carriers, countless other Iraqi vehicles, and were credited with up to, depending on the source you read, about 500 enemies dispatched. Now, during that entire battle, only one Apache was ever lost, and the crew ended up surviving. So, in conclusion, if you think going up against the US is a good idea, you see one of these coming, you won't for long. And that is your brief history for today.